All right, we're back, and we're going to talk about your flight from the island to Toronto, I guess, first, right?
Yeah. At some point, I realized that if I was going to pursue a career in music seriously, that I would have to leave Vancouver Island, simply because for me at the time, I just wasn't able to find enough gigs or enough
I thought it was
people.
because I asked you to leave the island.
Yeah, no one asked me. It was really my decision in the end, and I'm sure there was some people that were happy I was leaving, but for the most part, I really had to do it alone. That part of the journey was me really picking up and putting everything into storage and taking a suitcase and moving to a one-room place in Toronto.
That's where you begin to really understand the blues.
Yeah, I think I understood a bit about the blues before, but it's definitely helped to start again so many times. And really there are sacrifices when it comes to the music. You sometimes do have to sacrifice sanity or love or a home or the things that everybody kind of strives to have. And
kind of like being a soldier.
Yeah.
It's the same kind of life, right?
Well, I definitely put all of those experiences into the music, and so I think the music has grown because of my growth and my wisdom as I've gone along and learning from all of this and about myself. But definitely moved to Toronto, started over, and had some wonderful opportunities singing with Jeff Healey. That was a big moment for me in my career, and he really reinforced that I'd made the right choice and that he loved my voice, and there were some really wonderful things that he said. It touched me and affected me in a big way. And I also won a competition in Finland for my song Someday that we released on the album Shades of Blue, and that was just from entering the song on an online song competition. Ended up being flown to Finland and was the only woman and the only Canadian in the contest.
Surprised you got back from there. That's a long ways away.
That's right. And I ended up winning on Canada Day in Finland for Canada. It was a fantastic moment and definitely reaffirmed again that I was on the right path. But of course there's always the slow stuff when great things aren't happening and you just plug through. And just moving to Toronto, there's a very, very supportive blues society there in that they are the most organized, I think, of all the blues societies in Canada, one of the most organized. And even hold a Maple Blues Summit every year that brings people from all over Canada and the United States to conference about blues. And when I got in touch with the Blues Society, definitely there was some support there, something that I wouldn't have been able to find on Vancouver Island. And then I stayed in Toronto for 2 years. I performed with a lot of great people and had some great opportunities with festivals. I started to get a little tired and wanted to make a change but continue performing in Toronto. So I still play in Ontario all the time. I'm still back and forth between Toronto and Montreal every few months, but my home is based in Montreal.
Montreal is such a different feel as a city. It's really the most European city in North America,
sure.
Except for maybe New Orleans, right?
Sure, yeah.
And it's, I played out there. I was there for about a year with David Raven.
Yeah.
And in the late 70s.
Yeah.
And it was really something. There were a lot of festivals. And what really struck me working out there was how much they support the local artists.
Absolutely. There's a big support of the art, not just the audience members or the people that come out to these festivals who are ecstatic. If they like you, they like you. If they don't like you, they don't like you. But I think, the French fans are incredible. And they're also just very free. And
they have the same passion for music as they do for hockey.
Music lovers, and food. That's right.
And food. Best delis in the world.
Some of the incredible hospitality at some of the shows. Just the people treat you quite well in Quebec, and it's a good feeling when you're on the road sometimes to have that. And I do speak a little French, which has helped at the festivals and different events to be able to at least communicate, and that's why everyone should put their kids in French immersion, because that's what I only had a few years of French immersion at a young age, and that's helped me to actually be able to communicate, and it's helped me with my career in Quebec. But
or at least teach them how to ask for French fries and Coke.
Yeah, they know that I'm obviously not from there because of my accent, but they appreciate that I'm trying still.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, made the move there. I've been there about a year and a half. I have a great band there. Finally, starting to feel that I have this band that I feel very strong as my band. I'm still having to work with different musicians all the time because obviously when I'm traveling it's easier just to fly me or to take me to the gig, and
that makes you stronger though.
Work with musicians that are there. Also I find it more interesting in the blues, especially because if you're doing the song Hound Dog a million times in different countries, you're playing it with different musicians, they're playing it differently. That's keeping it more interesting.
They play it in German, right?
Yeah, if you have in Finland, the guys were played differently than in Germany, and vice versa. So my band is going to play it, not the exact same way every time, but they're going to know the way I like it. It's going to always be that way on stage for the most part with them. But it's nice still to have guest guitar players or guest musicians on stage with us. So it keeps it interesting, you know. But of course, in the long term, I'd like to have my band on the road with me, and I'm working towards that, and I think we're getting closer to that now. So,
the guitar player that you play with and the fellow that produced your latest album, he's a great guitar player.
Yeah, he's fantastic. He's not just an
How old is
amazing
he?
guitar player. He, I think Henrik's around in his late 20s, maybe mid to late 20s, maybe 27 or something, I think. I'm not sure
he's got a nice
about
tone.
Yeah, he's really he's a musical genius in that he actually played most of the instruments on the album. I mean, similar to what you had done when we made the record together. You played the bass and the guitar. And
but he was much smarter.
Well, it's not just about saving costs, and that's not the situation or why we did it in Germany when I made this newest album. It's simply because he really knows what he wants it to sound like. And everything that he did was mind-blowing for me. It was a whole level that I haven't felt, you know, making any of the records yet. And in a professional studio, you know, first of all, just to be in Germany, so exciting. To sign to a European label was exciting. But knowing that these guys care about me, care about my art, care about my music on a level that other labels wouldn't. And that's why I'd never dealt with a label before, because I know it's for a lot of people about the money, about every penny. And with Henrik, I mean, of course, the money has to come back to the label, but for the most part, they're really right now about supporting and investing in me, knowing that, you know, there's something there. Yeah. And we made some beautiful music together. For me, at the end of the day, it's about being able to sleep at night knowing I made the best record I could under the circumstances. I think I've done that with every album, but this album I felt not as much pressure. I wasn't as, you know, having to scrounge to pay for it myself, and so there was endless, you know, ability.
It takes a lot of the stress away.
It took the limitations and the boundaries that have been on some of the other records off, you know, because I wasn't having to scrape or work, you know, in situations that were more difficult. So I think with Henrik, like I feel really proud of the record. I made a record just before that, The Fire Girl, and that was made, you know, at my mom's house. We turned it into a studio. Literally, I was still dealing with having very little money, and it was co-written, most of it with a friend named Alice who played the guitar on it. A great record that really was 100% original for the first time. I finally had gone 100% original on an album. But this is the next step up. It's, you know, finally signing to a label, finally having the right kind of money behind the record and the promotion. And we're touring it in November. I'm really excited about the tour, about what's possible in Europe for me now. And most of all, I'm just excited for people to hear this record because it's 10 originals and 1 cover song, and definitely showcases where I'm at now in my life. I had complete creative freedom when it came to the lyrical content. I wasn't pushed in any direction with this album at all by the label, by Henrik. So it feels good. We came together, and he agrees we both made a fantastic album together. So it's going to open a lot of new doors. You know.
When's it coming out?
I don't have an exact release date, but I know the tour will be in November, so it should be sometime
coinciding
in the fall.
with that.
Exactly.
So do I get a copy?
Yes, of course. There'll be a European release, and I'm still working on the logistics of the Canadian release, which will be around the same time, but I'm not sure yet how I'm going to work out the Canadian tour for that album, or if I'll find some maybe support from a Canadian record label now that can help me with getting the record out in Canada, because really right now it's being released in Europe. Yeah. And they're supporting it in Europe, but not necessarily here. So, I've got some logistics.
You'll make a career there.
Yeah, and I think that when you have a good record and you have the support of a label, then other labels are going to be more interested at that point in helping you, you know, in other areas. So it's funny. Europe's so supportive. They're really open to anything you do. They go out and see live music all the time, and you know, you find it harder sometimes to get people to pay attention in your own backyard, you know, where you're born. Yeah. But I've also felt a lot of support in Canada, in Toronto, Halifax, BC, Quebec. I'm finding my way.
There's quite a few open dates in Libya right now, if you're interested.
Yeah, you know, I didn't have a gig in Egypt recently, which was maybe a good thing. You know? Although I'd love to travel and see as many parts of the world with my music as possible. It's one of the perks to being a musician. Yeah. And I'll be in the Czech Republic for the first time this year in June. And I mean, I would never, you know, book a vacation in the Czech Republic, you know, so it's cool that a festival that I'm singing at is taking me there. So.
Yeah, well, I would have booked there, but the black and white was bothering my eyes, the Czechs. Anyway, I think we should go to break. That was a bad pun.
That was bad.
All right, we're going to go to break, and we're going to come back, and we'll talk a little bit about what you want to do next.
Sounds great.
Okay.